Hello, everyone, again. Welcome back to my show with me, Mary Apollo. It's a story where I bring women who are leaders or who are contributing to the world and the society to tell their story and encourage them to empower younger women in the world. So, today I'm going to talk about Guyana, the Caribbean. Guyana can be the basket bread for the world in case if there is an upcoming pandemic globally. It contribute to 7.3 from the rice industry that go to the national income, and 10% of the rice go to the global market that come from the Caribbean. Guyana is a rich and potentially very productive agriculture sector that can make the contribute to recovery for the economy. I have with me Allishi Rasheed. She's the founder and owner of Imperial Brands Businesswoman, and she's an activist. Welcome, Alicia.
Thank you, Mary, for having me once again on the show. I want to say a pleasant good morning to everyone, all our viewers. And it's a great opportunity and a great honor for me to be working with you. And you have been doing an amazing job bringing women from different platforms here on your show in order to empower the young women around the world. So thank you again for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. First, recently you have just launched your organization, the Imperial's brand, and I know that you have been registered for a long time, but you have just get the inspiration to go and share your project with the world. How does it feel like?
It Imperial Brands has been in the making for well, the company has been in the making for like about 8 years or so. I remember being in high school and just sitting down writing about what I want to do for my country and my community and the world as a whole. Being a woman and getting other women involved as well, because I've started to recognize that we need to empower each other in order to conquer. And I have started to plan out myself in a certain way that I want to be an inspiration and to be a role model to other women. And I found that the only way to do so is to be the change, like Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see. And I haven't put a name to my company back then, but as I grew along the way, I about a year ago I came up with the name Femperial Brands, which is a made up name, of course. Femperial being female, Imperial being of high power. So Femperial Brands is the name of my company. Um, I have not fully launched as yet. I'm still in the process of fully launch, being out there on social media and all these things. But behind the scenes at the moment, we're doing a lot of work in terms of feasibility in the food security sector, of course, agriculture, food security sector. So at the moment, I'm involved in a major project that is for Imperial Brands, whereby we're testing the feasibility on how feasible it would be for women to come on board in the agriculture sector, because we're promoting agriculture and food security to the world and letting them know how important it is. But to bring women on board to fill the void of unemployment, we need to show them how feasible the project is, because a lot of people look at the feasibility and the profitability of a project before they jump on, which is the right way to do it. So at the moment, I've undertaken that task and I'm cultivating my own crop. It's close to 2 acres. It's gonna be only cash crop. It's mainly pumpkin and uh,
Mhm.
hot peppers and cantaloupe. Just a few to mention. We're putting other stuff on it as well, and documenting every step of my journey. So at the end, I'm doing a documentary as well
Mhm.
to show I'm doing my budget, the projected, the actual, and everything, the full works. So at the end of it, I want to show women how profitable or how feasible it is to come on board with us to promote food security and to promote the agriculture sector. Yeah.
How are you thinking to implement women in the project, like in farming and then helping sell their products, and how? What is your bigger vision for it?
Okay, so at the moment, since we're in this pace of the pandemic, a lot of problems has arise out of it in terms of food.
Mm-hmm.
Some countries, as we know, are in shortage of food, whereby here in Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana, of course, farmers have been having a lot of problems selling their produces.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite unusual, actually, but it's a lot of people are not getting out of their house to sell. So that is something that we want to curb on the long run as well. As the back to your question, how am I going to get women involved?
Mm-hmm.
As presently as we speak, I have three women involved with me, and they are not Trinidadian, they are Venezuelans, but their living conditions are very, very awful. Right now, they're living in a cattle farm and they have little or nothing. So, me having them on the farm, I am giving them a percentage of what I'll be reaping.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to that, I'm giving them a daily payment. Um, at the end of the form, our initiative or one of our initiative is to give back to all these to these communities, to these people that are desperately in need of this. And we have been making a list thus far as we go along, because from one person, like the three women I have working with me, they have three families, and those three families they have other families. So it's like it's it's a lot of people. It's like a network of people when you look at it. So from three women, I am able to touch at least 50 people from these three women alone. And all of these people are Venezuelans, of course, and they are settling here and they have little to nothing. So my one of my initiative from the project is to make like green bags and send out to these families, and that would be helping them a lot, like on a weekly basis. And to get women involved, of course, I know a lot of women. It's kind of women locally here, a lot of them are not involved. And doing the project myself and showing the result in the end is one way of getting women on board, to show them the numbers. So when women see the numbers, they know what we're talking about. They know how feasible it is. That is one way of bringing them on board and filling the void of unemployment too at the same time.
Okay. So are you thinking to increase the numbers of the women, and then you can hire some people from Trinidad, where you're based right now, and Guyana as well, your origin place?
Yes. In Guyana, however, the agriculture sector in Guyana is, I would say, much different than here in Trinidad and Tobago. One of the things that we do in Guyana back home, and I have not been seeing it down here in Trinidad, is that almost every home, I would say 90% of the homes have their own kitchen garden in the backyard. So that is promoting food security right there. So I wasn't too worried about Guyana and this pandemic, as it regards to food security, because I know that the people there know about survival, they know about sustainability when it comes to agriculture, because they have been practicing it all their lives. Here in Trinidad, people are now implementing that. The agriculture sector here, they are now implementing that. They're giving out seedlings to um, homes, they're giving out, vouchers and things like that. So that is something that I'm placing a lot more emphasis on in Trinidad and Tobago, because it's where it's really needed at the moment. Guyana, I will be doing it also, but not at the moment. I do not have a soon plan to do that. In Trinidad, I think it's needed, so that is why I'm focusing here more.
How is the seeds and the marketing for the agriculture sector look like, especially for women? the one they doesn't have access to the market. They doesn't have access to a lot. They have a face a lot of challenges in the agricultural sector. How do you envision you will improve it?
Okay. So I have been told because I've done some research and I've on why is it so difficult for people and why is it so hard for farmers. And I was told that here in Trinidad, for in order for you to be a farmer or in order for you to cultivate the right way, you're required to have a farmer's badge or a farmer's identification card. Before you acquire one of those, you have to be an owner or the holder of a lease for agricultural land. And a lot of people do not have that resource. So hence the reason why they do not have a farmer's badge. Having a farmer badge here in Trinidad and Tobago allows you to access the grants from the government. For example, you have incentives at the end of your crop, and you have cashback on all of your expenses, at least 50% on capital investments like water pumps and vehicles and things like that. So a regular farmer going to put on a crop without a farmer's badge has to first and foremost stand all of his expenses. All right.
Mhm.
Now, going into the market to sell your produce, you're selling it at the price as people with their farmer's badge, of course. So it's very competitive because farmers without the badge, which is like about 80% of the farmers here in Trinidad and Tobago, it's very difficult for them to compete against people with their farmer's badge.
Mhm.
So that is one of the disadvantage, a major disadvantage, I would say, with the agriculture industry here in Trinidad and Tobago. However, myself, along with the agronomist that is trying himself to promote food security here, we are both working hand in hand to come up with a solution to that problem. And we're thinking to possibly approach the government ourselves to seek a better way as to get people, have people to gain on this initiative and to encourage them, to have them on board and to find a better way or easier way so that farmers or aspiring farmers could acquire their farmer's badge and gain on the incentives as well.
Cool. So I want to take you back to your childhood as you grew up in Guyana in agriculture family, from your granddad and your mom who was an entrepreneur, and you decided that you are going to use your hand, not being like the regular girls who are doing the house duty. You are going to use your hand, and you're going to work in the farm.
Mhm.
How was it feel like that time? What motivates you to go to agriculture?
Um, for me, I well, I love planting, and the reason why I love planting is that after from my childhood cultivating plants, like I recall my granddad, and he would like give me first thing first. I used to love planting flowers because they would grow and they would bloom and they would look so pretty, and you feel so proud knowing that, oh my God, I planted this and
What's
I
your
grew this.
favorite flower?
I love planting. There's a flower called the zinnia back home. I don't know if you know it, but
Okay.
it's a it's a flower where you just it's like when it turns old, you pick it from the tree and you just like throw it like the seeds. There are like millions of seeds in a flower. You just throw it and then it just grows. And I had the tendency to go to every yard that have a zinnia because there were like so many different colors. And I would make sure that my yard have all the colors. So I would go to like the different neighbors and pick the different colors, the old ones, and then I would throw it in the yard. And then my whole yard would just be like these beautiful flowers, and I'll feel like so proud because they look so pretty. Same thing with vegetables as well, and fruits as well, is that you feel very proud when you start to see your produce. You feel accomplished. It's a beautiful thing. It's amazing feeling to know that you have nurtured a plant, you have planted a seed, it grew into a plant, you have nurtured that plant, and now it has been producing the fruits. And that is what you call the fruits of your labor. And it's very calming, it's very comforting to look at it, and it's very appealing to me, and that is what appeals. to my inner self and to my inner soul, and that is when I knew that I wanted to grow millions of these things, and I wanted to reap millions of, produce, and yeah. So that is basically what intrigued me to start to grow plants from one plant to another to two to 10 to yeah.
Describe
So
to me the land where they are. How was it looking? Uh, and how does it feel when you are a younger girl who are playing there and try to help the other people on their yard to grow up the flowers?
sorry.
Describe for me the land
Uh-huh.
and the feeling that you have at that time. That you feel connected. There is a connection between you and the land.
Oh, okay. So as a young girl, I remember back home, um, like I said, flowers was my first love. Um, so that is what introduced me into planting, to be honest. And going to neighbors' yard, I would. This is a bit embarrassing, but I would say it. But I would like be so shy, and I would be so scared to ask, like, can I have a piece of that plant, or can I take a flower? So like I would go because different neighbors have like many different things. Like I would go for many different reasons. But my sole reason always was to get that flower.
Mhm.
And I would somewhat just get it. And how I recall stealing these flowers. Like I mean it's not a big crime, but like, you know, I stole most of these flowers like from the tree, and bringing it to my yard, and it was amazing feeling, and I would always remember that because those are some of the treasured memories of my childhood, and I'm so happy that I could relate them to you and relate it to your viewers as well, and is that those little things that help you to grow into the person that you want to be, and to realize what you want to do and things like that. So yeah, I'm not sure if I answered your question pretty much direct, but that is how I felt back then. But now it's such a beautiful thing to tell.
And
Yeah.
then you went to secondary school and you have the
Mhm.
agriculture subject. It was the curriculum.
Yes.
Uh,
I, yeah, go ahead.
oh,
Sorry.
yeah. And you start liking the subject you draw up in your book.
Yeah.
Is that feeling grow up from there that you will become the woman you are today?
Yes. So I recall back in high school, in secondary school, we were giving, so in agriculture science, you have to do your theory and your practical.
Mhm.
So I was very, very, very excited to enter the fourth and the fifth year because of our agriculture practical. Because I would see the other kids, in those farms doing their practical, and I'm like, oh gosh, I can't wait for my time to read. And I recall in fourth form, we did the plant practical where we had us to cultivate our own farm in the schoolyard. We had like a garden in the schoolyard, and we had us to cultivate our own farm. And our teacher came and she was like, you had to do your projected budget, and then you do your actual. We had us to market our produce. We had us to go and do land preparation, apply all our theoretical skills into the practical. And it was amazing. It was like the theory to learn it is harder than the practical for me, because the practical is like I basically knew everything I had to do because I have been doing it with my granddad and back home. So learning, like having that knowledge from childhood to apply it in high school, it was very easy for me. It was like a walkthrough for me, and it was like, oh my god, I wish all these subjects was like this so that you could apply your practical experience or your everyday experience into the subject. And that is where my love grew for agriculture, because I've been involved in it back home, and to do it in school, I was so excited to show others what I knew, and I was like always on top of the class for that. Moving on to fifth year, we had a few rare chickens,
Hmm.
and at that point, our yeah, we had like this big, chicken pen in the yard and the school's yard, and we had to do everything. And I recall our agriculture science teacher. She was in college, and it was a very tough year for her. So she had her examinations in college, and she wasn't having enough time to spend with us in order to kick the project off. And other classes had done their projects. They had started their project before us, and she was like, "Oh my God, you guys would have to do it by yourselves, and I wouldn't be here to guide you all the time. I'll just come and check on you guys, whatever." And I was like, "You know what, miss? I'll take the responsibility. I will lead it. I will lead the class. I'll collect, because we had us to pool monies together, buy our chicks, buy our feed, get the litter, put it in the pan, and everything." And as a result, for us starting late, we had to utilize the worst part of the pen, because the other classes had take the better parts of the pen. So we had us to create our own thing in there, and it was so amazing. We would go Saturdays, and I was like, I remember directing, like, oh, we would draw a line here, and we'll put up our fence, and this is gonna be our pen, and we're gonna throw our letter. And I was like the head of that project, and I was like, it was the best feeling ever. Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
best.
Uh, there is a lot of countries because they have a curriculum of the agriculture in their
Hmm.
education system, but it's not considered as a essential subject, or you
Yeah.
can take it after you went to secondary school
Hmm.
to achieve the sustainable development goals. And one of the which was by the UN. How do you think these countries can put the agriculture curriculum in their education system, and how they can address women on it?
I think, Mary, that's a very important thing that we all should pay a lot of attention to,
Mhm,
because agriculture, as much as we all know, English and math is mandatory for us in our curriculums and in all the countries. I think agriculture should become mandatory as well,
mhm,
because in this case, you're teaching people to sustain themselves. You're teaching them sustainability, and that is a very essential part of our life, in order to know sustainability. Because I know a lot of people are aspiring to become lawyers, and aspiring pilots, and aspiring doctors, and whatever it may be. And but every at the end of the day, it boils down to the point that we all have to eat. We all have to, um some way or the other, we all have to eat something, that is, whatever. But you all, I think agriculture, everybody should know how to grow their own food. They should have an idea as to where food come from. It's very amazing sometimes that some people, in their 20s, in their 30s, they're still asking questions like, where do grape come from?
mhm,
Like, does it come from a tree? I'm like, no, it comes from a vine. And like questions like these. I mean, I'm not laughing, like it's not a laughing matter, but it's like, if you learn about sustainability, if you learn where your food comes from, it's essential. Grape is so common, it's like it's an everyday thing. People enjoy grapes like all year long. I mean, Christmas time, whatever. And you still coming to me in your 20s asking me, like, where did a grape come from?
mhm.
Right? So I think agriculture is mandatory, and it should be introduced in school as a mandatory subject. If not all of it, at least most of it, the most part dealing with food. Yeah. Well, that is what agriculture is about, anyways, dealing with food and plants and stuff like that.
Okay. Guyana can be the basket bed of the world in case if there is upcoming pandemic or epidemic.
Mm.
There is in region number 6 where we live, there is 6,200 like hectares that are have not been used
Mm.
for agricultural purpose.
Uh-huh.
Guyana can be the breadbasket of the world. How do you see that as an issue?
Okay, so when we talk about, it's actually the breadbasket of the Caribbean. Guyana was once Guyana is not the breadbasket at the moment, but we were once considered as the breadbasket of the Caribbean,
Sorry.
whereby we were exporting a lot of rice and a lot of cash crops to all these different Caribbean countries. Trinidad, for example, the rice exportation is still on here, but a lot of those local produce market, like the cash crop markets, have died down over the years for one reason or another. So Guyana has a mass amount of land that is untapped into, not only in Region 6. Region 6, for example, is a producer of rice and cash crop. It's more of a rural area, more of a country area. So people are mostly involved in agriculture being their main economic activities. Other parts of the country, like Essequibo, is also producing a lot of rice. And Essequibo is actually where rice was first cultivated in Guyana. That is when the East Indians they went to Guyana, and that is the first place that they would have cultivated rice in the Essequibo region. And that area has remained also as one of Guyana's largest rice producing area in the country as well, together with Region 6 and Region 5 and things like that, like big hubs. Um, the lands that we're talking about, the large untapped lands, like most of it are covered in rainforest in Guyana. And yes, Guyana can become once again the breadbasket of the Caribbean, and Guyana can also become the breadbasket of the world because of all these untapped lands that we have there. And but I think that introducing, like we spoke just now, introducing agriculture in the different countries and into your school curriculum and teaching people how to grow their own food, it's a better approach for a lot of countries because it's less expense. Importation takes it's a lot of money and it's a lot of expense for an economy to put out to import goods into the country. And I think at this point where the this pandemic has taught us such a valuable lessons and importance of how important it is to grow your own food. I'm looking at this scenario in a long term, where borders are shut down, for years, and we are not able to import or export anything. We have to be prepared for those situations, and that is why I would actually recommend people be taught agriculture so that they know what to do and how to cultivate their own food, and they will not have to scare or have to starve to death, or the world parts of the world would not have to die of hunger in a sense when it comes to a pandemic.
Oh, okay. I think you have a project that you have in mind about the export rice to outside of Guyana to Africa or
Yes, that project is not exporting rice, but it's a transfer of technology.
okay.
And this is where we are taking our skills and our um, the knowledge that we have, the traditional skills, the practical skills, the theoretical skills that we have in Guyana, because we produce a large mass of rice, a large amount of rice in Guyana, and we want to teach the people of Africa sustainability and cultivation of rice so that they would not have to spend billions of dollars every year to import rice for the population.
Are you
So
doing
we,
it as an individual with your company or you have
sorry.
are you doing it as an individual with your company or you have partners?
Okay, so Imperial Brands as a company, we have different arms in the company. It's
Uh-huh.
an umbrella with different businesses under the company. So transfer of technology is one of our arms under Imperial Brands. And of course, I have my specific team or crew that is assigned to teach transfer of technology to anywhere that is required. Right now, I think Africa, and as myself and late Ambassador Fude, we have had a lot of input into this project, and he was basically he's the one who brought this idea up to us. And he was like, I want you guys to come and teach the people in Africa on how to cultivate rice. And that is something that I will be undertaking as well. Even though he's not here with us, God bless his soul. That is something that I will pull through, and I will ensure that comes through, because it's like fulfilling a dream of his. It's like fulfilling a dream of my late mentor, Ambassador Fude, our mentor. So that I see he was looking at the bigger picture, like I spoke about, in the event of a pandemic, and Africa with food importation and things like that. And he brought this idea. The amazing thing is that this all started way before the pandemic. So you could tell the brilliant leader he was, foreseeing what we should do to curb issues like this in the future. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Uh, in terms of the policy making for different agriculture sector around the globe, do you see yourself one day as part of the decision makers?
I do. I do. It is a big dream of mine, but I never give up on my dreams. I always dream big. I'm never too scared. I'm never too afraid to dream big and to go bigger. The sky's the limit. And yes, I do see myself one day on the world, on the platform, as a world leader, making decisions in agriculture for different countries. Today, I'm doing it. Um, I'm not solely, but I'm here as an individual with my company trying to promote it. And I know if it's a year, if it takes a year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, as long as I'm here, I will be there one day.
Okay, part of the work that you are doing
Hmm.
with the farmers in Trinidad and Guyana, you
Hmm.
started the campaign of COVID-19 and you get youth involved on it. And as we know, the youth will be part of the decision making of the
Yes.
transformation or development. Do you see hope in yourself and in the other youth who are working with you? And how can you call the other leaders, youth who are around the world to follow your mission and be part of the process?
Okay. I believe in what I'm doing. I totally have faith in my project because this is something that is essential to life as much as the three necessities, as we know, clothing, food, and shelter. Food being there tells that is agriculture, that is promoting food security. And what we are doing here is teaching the world, or we're reaching out to the world to join in our fight and to join with us to promote food security
Mhm.
so that we will not end up, we will not, we're at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is we're trying to promote goal number two, end hunger and promote agriculture, sustainable development. And the youths that are working with me and my team, whether it is transfer of technology or it's food security, whatever, these people are very intrigued and enthusiastic about what they're doing, and they're very excited about what they're doing, and they're very happy at the end of the day to with the hope and the knowledge that they're making somebody else happy. They're teaching their skills to other people, and they're spreading their word out there, and it's creating a better environment, a better life for people. Because when you look at it, it's if you know to plant your own food or to grow your own food, and you have the knowledge, you have the material and everything, then you live a more confident life. You're not worried, you're not bothered, because you know that that is taken care of, you know and then you could move on and you could place your focus on other things in life, and that makes you a better person eventually. you know so myself and my team, having that knowledge and the tools to educate others and to bring others on board with us, it's not only about food security, but it's generating, it's making a better life for people.
Mhm.
It's about moving, giving you that confidence and security of your food so that you could place your focus on what else, like something else that is important. So that is what we're trying to do as a team. And I think women on the whole, women have a lot of power, and we could conquer anything that we want. And myself being a woman, sorry, in this project here, I have seen a better result I don't know if it's the approach that I have to the project,
Mm-hmm.
or like for example, I would tell you, like, you go to an agro shop, you reach with a bunch of guys. There's a bunch of guys there, and they first thing first they look at you, they're like, what is she doing here? It's amazing to see a female here or women here, whatever. And then they'd be amazed to like I would like, I would like, oh, can I have that? I'm having this problem with my farm, I think I want that. Because when I go to the agri shop, I make sure I do my research before I have my package, so I know exactly what I'm going for. But when I go there, I question the salesperson to know what they know or what they could tell me. So these people or these fella be looking like, how does she know all of that?
Mm-hmm.
You know? So they're amazed, and they're amazed. And I feel women have the power. Women are very powerful creatures, as I said. And every platform that we set foot on, we conquer. And I feel this is something is not it's not a competition. This agriculture sector and food security is not a competition, but it's getting people involved and getting women involved as much as men, to understand the importance, and to the more the better in that way. The more people involved, the better it is. Yeah.
In case of you working in agriculture, there is other sustainable development goal that's related to agriculture. One of them is the clean water and sanitation for younger women. That is still a challenge for
Yeah.
women around the globe, especially in the time of the pandemic.
Hmm.
And the other thing is the climate change. What can be done, and how can you address that to the globally, and what can be done to improve women's situation in these areas?
Okay, so for the water problem and the sanitation, that is something that I would like to tap into later on in life when I do have the finance to turn that table.
Mhm.
Um, as for now, I've been thinking that, I would like to develop some sort of technology or something to get that done. I haven't put a lot of thought into that as yet, but it's a thought that is in the back of my mind. It's a project that is lingering there and will come true when I have the resources to tap into that. As it relates to global warming, as we know, global warming is with all these greenhouse gases, whatever. Planting has a big part to do with that, and loitering and littering, all these things. So one thing for sure is that cultivating a farm, you have to do a lot of land clearing and a lot of cleaning. So cleaning the earth is one. So you get a lot of pollution. You get rid of a lot of pollution.
Mhm.
um, in order for you to get water to your fields, you want to have a clean stream or a clean river or a clean pond, because your suction or the water, the irrigation pump, you know, have to get a clean area to work with. So that pushes you now to clean your water source.
Mhm.
Even though it's outdoors, whatever, you clean your water source. So that is more and more cleaning and more sanitation as it relates to environment and cleaning up your environment. Plants, the more plants, the more oxygen, the cleaner the air would be, because we have a equal flow, a balanced flow, whatever it is. So I think, farming is one way of healing our earth and promoting, ending global warming, whatever it is. And yeah, but the bigger picture to that, I still have to put some thought into that as well. And of course, I know that once I place my focus there, I would come up with a better solution. But as for now, I see that that is one way of curbing it at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Alicia.
Yeah,
So we came to the end of our show.
yeah,
Guyana, there is still a lot of land that haven't been used
use,
in Guyana, and Guyana is mostly sufficient of food.
yeah,
Can be the breadbasket for the Caribbean, and it can feed the world. They can export
yeah,
the rice and the product from the agriculture sector.
yeah.
I would like to thank you again, Alicia. who was a guest with me today, Allishi Rasheed, the founder of Imperial Brands. She's a businesswoman, she's an activist, she's an amazing leader who have that vision for globally to improve the agriculture sector and to be part of the decision making, to call for more women to be part of the initiative. Thank you for watching us, and thank you, Alicia, again for joining me.
I want to thank you so much, Mary. It's always a pleasure working with you, like I said before, and continue to do the good work that you're doing. And for the viewers out there, continue to dream big, and no dream is ever too big for you. Don't ever underestimate yourself, especially women. Don't ever underestimate yourself. You have more potential than you know, and always be yourself. Everyone else is taken.
Thank
So have a good day.
you.
Bye.